Hello guys, welcome to Captain Torja's Armory. This is Captain Torja. Today we're going to be looking at this machine right here, the SU-100Y, aka the box tank. Some people call it the building tank, but I call it the box tank. I can't take credit for calling it the box tank, I stole that from Quickie Baby. Obviously it's called the box tank because it looks like a giant rolling box. And the first thing I want to say about the box tank is that it really is huge. We're going to cover some of the characteristics of this vehicle in the garage, and then we're going to take it into a battle. I'm going to come right out and say it right now. This battle that we're going to look at is my Mastery Badge Ace tanker, because it was just a really ridiculous fight. And this tank is totally balanced. Definitely the most balanced tank in the game. So, first thing about it, it's a Tier 6 premium Russian tank destroyer. Excuse me. So, this thing, it's Tier 6. That puts it the same tier as the Dicker Max, the German Tier 6 premium tank destroyer. That puts it at the same tier as non-premium tank destroyers like the SU-100, the M18 Hellcat, the M36 Jackson, the Jagdpanzer IV, and the AT-8. Those are just about every Tier 6 tank destroyer, every other Tier 6 tank destroyer in the game. And this thing definitely has some humongous advantages over all of the aforementioned vehicles. One thing about this tank that's really awesome is, first of all, it's got the most insane main gun. That's pretty much the strong point of the SU-100Y. It basically has the gun of an IS-7, except cut down a little bit to keep it from being insanely overpowered at Tier 6. But it's not really cut down that much. Basically, they cut down the penetration and the damage a little. Just for comparison, I'm going to put them next to each other, just because I want to see the difference. So, here's the SU-100Y, and remember, this is on a Tier 6. You have a 3.7 round per minute rate of fire, with 196 penetration on standard ammunition, 440 damage per shot, 0.38 accuracy, and 2.9 second aiming time. So basically, they lowered the rate of fire, penetration, damage, and increased the accuracy and decreased the aiming time. So that's pretty funny. But anyway, this gun is ridiculous. It's so powerful. Another interesting thing about this gun is if you switch to premium ammo, you lose penetration. You lose 25 millimeters of penetration, but you gain damage and go up to 550 or 510 average damage per shot. But that's pretty unnecessary because, well, really, 440 damage with 196 penetration is nothing to complain about. I don't feel like I need to do more damage ever. This tank destroyer will see Tier 4 battles. You can one-hit almost every Tier 4 with standard ammo, and you can one-hit a lot of Tier 5s with standard ammo, and any Tier 5 that you can't one-hit with standard ammo, you can do like an 85 to 90% damage to it. Like, if you fire at a Sherman who's taken one hit from the 75 millimeter gun on a Panzer IV, that Sherman's gonna die. There's no need to increase your damage. And going to the premium shells to get higher alpha in higher tier games is risky because your penetration drops. Still, though, 196 pen or 171 pen on the premium shells is pretty good. But they're also really expensive. They cost 4,000 credits a shot, which is quite a lot. So I never use them. You don't need them. You just straight up don't need them. Another big advantage of this tank is it's got 700 health. And we'll see the application of that in the battle that we're going to look at. Basically what it means is when you have somebody shooting at you with a pop gun, because you have 700 health, you can actually afford to ignore them for a little while and work on a bigger target. At one point in the battle that we're going to look at, I've got the side of a T-29, and he's just ignoring me. And he lets me shoot him twice and do about 900 damage to him. But in order to do that, I have to allow an AT-8 to shoot me in the side. Now, I knew the AT-8 was using one of the really, really weak guns it gets right at the beginning that only does like 70 damage per hit. So I was fine to trade something like 200 health in order to do 900 damage to a T-29, but only because I have 700 hit points, excuse me, on a Tier 6. Most Tier 6 TDs, they have around 550 to even less HP. So losing 200 health when you have, say, 530 health, that's much worse than when you have 700 health. Now, the gun and the high HP are some of the biggest strengths of this vehicle. Some other strengths, it's reasonably fast, 35 kph. It has a decent traverse speed of 30, but you know, that 30-degree traverse speed isn't like super fast. It's about in the middle. You know, it's faster than an SU-152, but it's not as fast as something like an SU-101. So you have pretty decent traverse speed, and you have pretty decent top speed, and you actually have a pretty powerful engine in the tank as well, 890 horsepower, which is good because the tank weighs almost 65 tons, so that's pretty heavy. So for equipment, I like to put in a large caliber tank gun rammer to, you know, increase the rate of fire on that ridiculous gun and improve ventilation, mostly for rate of fire, accuracy, and aiming time on the gun, but also it helps with camouflage and driver skills and everything else like that. For third equipment, I like to go with binocular telescopes. In a tier 6 battle, you don't really need it that much, but when you get into a higher tier battle, tier 7 or tier 8, and the map permits, it allows you to just sit back a little farther and engage at range. Because even though you have a lot of health for a tier 6, you know, you don't want to be taking hits from tier 8s, and you only have 60 millimeters of armor, which brings us on to our next thing. This tank doesn't really have any armor. 60 millimeters all around. Yeah, you know, this part's pretty well sloped, but nobody's really going to shoot there. This part's fairly well angled from the front, but it doesn't really matter that much. You're going to get penned. Just about everything that fires at you, even in a tier 4 game, will have the pen to go right through you, so don't expect bounces. The mantlet, sometimes if they shoot the gun mantlet, that'll eat shots, but that's not even very reliable, so just try not to get hit. That's the thing with this tank. Excuse me. Another thing about this tank that's kind of a weakness is that it's got a weird crew setup, and that doesn't like hurt your performance in game, but it is something sort of weird, because you have a commander, 2 gunners, a driver, and 2 loaders. Now, you know, 2 loaders is pretty standard, especially on something with a huge gun like this. That's not that weird. It allows you to train a crew for a vehicle like the SU-152, which has 2 loaders, or, you know, an ISU or an Object 704. These are all tank destroyers that have 2 loaders. I can't remember if the 268 does. Yeah, it's also got 2 loaders, so you could put your 268 crew in here. But because it has 2 gunners, you have to do something weird. So I've got a full crew of an Object 704. I've got a commander, gunner, driver, and 2 loaders out of my Object 704 in this tank, and my second gunner is out of my ISU 152. So, yeah, just to get some crew training. Because, as we all know, a premium vehicle, you can take the crew of another vehicle that's a non-premium and put them straight in without retraining to help them get their skills up faster. So yeah, that's nice, but it's weird that you have the 2 gunner thing. That's kind of the only thing that sort of ruins the deal a little bit. Another disadvantage of the box tank is this tank is effing huge. Like, let's compare it to some tanks out there that are pretty big. Like, that's a KV-3, and the box tank is larger than the KV-3, both taller and longer. They don't come much bigger than the Jagdpanzer E100. So yeah, alright, she's smaller than a Jagdpanzer E100. But let's compare the box tank to a Jagdtiger. Because after the Jagdpanzer E100, the Jagdtiger is one of the largest vehicles in the game. So here we go. The box tank is bigger. This thing is bigger than a Jagdtiger. So yeah, she's a pretty big TD. So you gotta watch out for that. But really, aside from being big and not having any armor, and having a weird crew setup, this tank destroyer is pretty daggone good. I've said it before and I'll say it again. You can give me a tank destroyer with a lot of weaknesses, and as long as it's got a powerful gun, I'm willing to live with it. This thing definitely has a powerful gun, and its weaknesses aren't all that weak. So yeah, I will take what you've given me and ask for a second helping. I like this thing. Let's take a look at it in battle. Alright, well, we're in battle with the SU-100Y. This is actually not very bad matchmaking for this tank. The enemy team has two tier 7s rather, and one tier 7 artillery, and everything else after that is a tier 6, except for one tier 5 scout and one tier 5 artillery, and our team has the same composition. The only thing that's potentially really dangerous about this match is that, well, two things. The SU-152 is the main danger. If he pens me, I'll die. If he's using the 122 millimeters, you know, the guns from the IS, then it would be a different matter. But if he's got the howitzer that comes as the stock gun on the SU-152, one hit from that guy with basically any ammunition and I'm dead. The Crusader self-propelled gun could do the same thing to me if he gets a hit. After that, the only real dangers are that the enemy does have a lot of tank destroyers, so if some of these tier 6 TDs play a strong game, they really could hurt me a lot. Especially the Hellcat is very strong. He could really ruin my day. The Nashorn in a good position with his 88mm gun could just tear my tank to shreds. I didn't know it at the time, but the AT-8 is not fully upgraded. If he were fully upgraded, an AT-8 could actually be very dangerous to me with his extremely high rate of fire, very accurate gun. But anyway, that's enough of that. We're coming into our first position, and we spot the enemy SU-152. So he's a priority target. We want to kill him ASAP. So we go for a shot into his track, and we detrack him, but we don't penetrate his armor, which is unfortunate, because that would have been, you know, half the HP gone off the most dangerous tank on the enemy team. So we fire again. This time we fire at his casement, not at his track, and we hit the bridge abutment and do no damage. So 2 shots on the enemy SU-152, no joy, but no problem. Somebody else on my team has killed him. So I'm spotting for a shot on this M6, and he disappears. I'm pretty sure I'm still aimed at him, but with all the tanks I have over there, I expected a respot soon, and we get the respot, and we do 496 damage and kill the M6. And I apologize for my jerky camera movement. I don't know why I do it, but moving right along, I see the Cromwell. I thought about engaging, but I decided that his suicide run would lead him to death before I could get effective fire out. So I hold my fire on the Cromwell, and I realize I have quite an opportunity here to just blast this T-29. I see the Jackson. I realize I need to deal with the Jackson first, so I put one into the Jackson, do a lot of damage to him. I see the AT-8 coming around, so I try to get the railroad tracks between us. The AT-8's still looking at me. I use my repair kit, and at this point I see the T-29, and I realize that if I'm willing to let that AT-8 shoot the crap out of me with his really weak gun, I can destroy this T-29. Now, just because I'm letting the AT-8 have shots at me doesn't mean I have to give him free shots. So I come behind this wall for my second hit on the T-29, and I put my second hit onto the T-29, dealing a total of 853 damage to him. And he's dead. And somebody else has killed the AT-8, so it's time to move in. Now, we're incredibly strong on this flank and pretty weak on the other flank, so I'm looking to attack and get these guys out of the way ASAP. So we're going to dispatch the Nashorn right here, put a big hit into him. He decides he probably doesn't want to stay and fight. But the enemy AMX-13AM, driven by Davy Crockett, has just blown off my track. And I get my track back on, and Davy Crockett blows it right off immediately again. So we're stuck sitting here. But probably not stuck here for long, because we know Davy Crockett is firing from pretty much right ahead of me. And that Cromwell is about to see him. So while the Cromwell takes care of Davy Crockett, I take care of the enemy T-3485. We're now on 2 kills. We've done 2,396 damage, and the enemy's down to just a 1 arty, a tier 6 medium, and a tier 6 TD. And the box tank wants more blood. Box tank is not finished with you yet. More blood for the box tank. So we are going to go run these guys down. Thanks to XVM, I have the last known positions on my map. I can see the 3002M is down there by our base, but he's got another 3002 and a KV-1S chasing him, so I probably won't get there in time. And also, we're capping the base, so I want to try and get these kills in before the base gets capped. We're able to find the Crusader SP, so we blast him in the face, knocking him out in one shot. Now the only thing left is the ARL V39, and I'm pretty sure he's still going to be an A1. So, yep, there he is. And what I do here is I actually scope in before I come around the corner, so that way I can fire as soon as I get around, because we can one-hit each other. And it works. You can see I'm able to fire as soon as I can see him and hit him. And not only do I knock out the ARL, but I knock him out before the cap is completed. So I get my 3,041 damage and 4 kills before the enemy base is captured. Sadly, the 3002M survived, but what are you going to do? So let's take a quick look at my post-game stats. So I told you this was the Mastery Badge game, so no surprise. Mastery Badge Ace Tanker, 93,126 credits. That's very good. This is a premium tank, so it does make extra credits, but it doesn't make as much as a Tier 8 premium. So getting a 93,000 credit game in this means you had a pretty big game. Excuse me. Yeah, good experience as well. 4,454 for the double. That is with premium. Both the credits and experience are with premium. And you can see here we have a pretty impressive litany of destruction. We only detected 2 targets. We only got assist damage on 2 targets. But we did a hell of a lot of damage ourselves. So, not surprisingly, if you sort by damage, we see that 3,041 by me was the most. Our M41 actually had a really, really good game as well. So props off to that guy. For 1,200 damage in an M41 on a city map, not bad. If you take a look at the detailed report, we can see that I fired 10 shots, 9 of those shots hit, 9 of them penetrated, bearing in mind that one of the penetrations was a detracking shot on the enemy SU-152. It didn't deal any damage. So basically, I fired 8 shots at non-SU-152s, and all of them hit and all of them did damage. But in my 2 shots at the SU-152, I broke his track and did nothing else. Because I broke that track, and because of the little bit of spotting I did manage to get 1,248 assistance damage, which is definitely nice, and I'm sure it helped towards the Mastery Badge, because I only got 3,041 damage, and that was mostly against tier 6s, which isn't going to give me that much extra experience. You can see here we didn't fire, because I didn't fire any premium shells, my ammo cost was only 11,000, so I made a healthy profit of 75k. Even with a standard account, that would have been a 24k or a 44k profit game, which is definitely nice. You can see we pulled in 4,454 experience, and again, even on premium or standard account, that would have been a 3k experience game, which is pretty daggone good. And 1,485 experience unmodified for the Mastery Badge Ace Tanker. That is a pretty decent game. I definitely love the box tank. It is completely quote-unquote balanced, not overbalanced at all. This tank's really fun. It's fun to drive. It's fun to play. I ought to play it more. It's hilarious. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the box tank mastery game. I definitely enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed playing it. Feel free to leave comments. Feel free to like and subscribe. Anything like that. I definitely enjoy the input. So guys, until next time, this is Captain Dorja, and just remember, you can never have enough big guns.